Trading to tower, you are clear for takeoff. Before the show begins, remember that trading involves risk, and anything shared in our content should not be construed as financial advice.
I do have some trades on. I am long Aussie CAD.
For these positions, I wouldn't mind holding them for 3 months.
So around 100.5 to 99.5 in that sort of area.
Pulver alerts, I have 100 shares at 11.79. I closed out today.
Start building your strategy based upon historical data.
Welcome to A1 Trading.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you guys are doing well. Back in the office, back in the old saddle, huh? Let's take a look at some markets, see what's going on here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We've got a nice little crowd waiting for us here. I feel honored every time I see that. I'm like, dang, 155 people are waiting on me. That's just awesome. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well. NASDAQ pulling back here a little bit here today. Same thing with the S&P 500, seeing just a little bit of softness off of yesterday's pretty huge move higher. The dollar index is a little soft here today, continuing its pullback off of these highs. The VIX is modestly higher here today. Gold and silver following through from yesterday. Got some nice movement there on silver and gold, looking really good. U.S. oil here is actually making a push higher this morning. You've got Bitcoin lower. Bitcoin still struggling, actually finding some resistance here. We'll talk about that. Bond yields a little bit higher here this morning. Euro dollar higher, pound dollar higher, dollar yen. Interesting stuff. Nick, did you see ADP today? Let's take a look. So what happened with ADP today? Did we get something? Am I missing something? Yeah, please stop spamming the chat. Makes it hard for us to see other people's comments. And I know that you want to look at the dollar, but we got a lot to get to. Don't worry. We'll get to the dollar. Stay patient with me. ADP. The U.S. lost an average of 11,250 private sector jobs in 4 weeks, ended October 25th. There you go, Nick. Thanks. Appreciate that. Interesting. Weekly data from the ADP is turning into a market mover. The initial report showed a healthy 14,250 jobs, but skip ahead 2 weeks, and it's now showing a drop of 11,250 per week on average for the past 4 weeks. This should translate into a poor reading, though ADP itself reported 42,000 jobs. Interesting. Dollar Dump says ADP report shows big job losses in October. Small biz optimism hits 6 month lows. Interesting. Okay. So dollar seeing a little bit of weakness here this morning. And guys, we are, it's looking like there is a stronger probability that we are actually going to get the government shutdown to come to an end, which I am so ready for. And I know a lot of people probably are. That will be a nice thing to also know that, you know, flights are going to continue. I know that that's been a big concern, is a lot of flights, you know, expected to get discontinued or canceled. Hold on, I got to fix my pen here is not working right. Let's bring it back up. All right. So there we go. Yeah, so dollar index finding a little bit of resistance here. Let's take a look at the dollar in combination with some of the currencies. Yeah, dollar index looks a little soft here. I don't really have a really strong bias on the dollar, I'll tell you that. If we go to the U.S. economic heat map, Yeah, flights are getting canceled due to, I think there's like government workers in the control towers at airports, and so there's only a certain amount the DOT has allowed or has marked that we're going to need to start canceling flights, etc. So yeah, government shutdown. If it messes with people's Thanksgiving plans, that's not cool, and it will make people really upset with the government. And it is a they're going back and forth. They're fighting over stuff. Anyways, we've got economic heat map here still looking decently strong overall for the dollar. So here's that previous reading on ADP. So now there's some speculation about whether or not that will continue to look decently healthy or if this is going to be more problematic from here. But yeah, I mean, most of our indicators still suggest a decent outlook for the US dollar. But my issue with dollar bullishness or getting too strong on the dollar is that we have a lot of currencies that are actually putting up some decent economic readings compared to forecasts, right? You have the Australian dollar looking pretty strong, the Canadian dollar looking pretty strong, New Zealand dollar looking decent. So I'm not really strong on the dollar at this time. I mentioned like a week and a half ago that I was getting pretty neutral on the dollar as we neared this 100 level. And it does seem like the 100 level acted very nicely as a resistance point. I would not be surprised if we did continue to come back and retest like 98.50, but I just don't have a really strong directional bias on dollar. So I can't really give you too much there. If I'm looking at the indices, I am still very bullish in the indices. I think the chart looks really constructive here. I think we are probably headed back to all-time highs for things like the NASDAQ, which I am currently long myself. We tested this 50-day moving average, this 61.8% retracement level. Support held really nicely for the bulls. We pushed off of this area. Let's read into a little bit of what we see here happening today. We have the dollar moving lower on the ADP numbers, perhaps also bringing stocks down here temporarily with that as well. I'd be fine with holding through all this noise as long as the NASDAQ can continue to hold this general area here or this general here, here. This 50% to 61.8% retracement, this area's got to hold for me to stay in the trade. So if we come crashing down here and none of this is working and we reverse course on all the gains that we made in the last 2 trading sessions, if that happens, I'm out. I take a loss on the trade and I move on to the next one. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but it could, right? We always have to acknowledge you could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, what am I going to do? I'm going to stop out. And yes, that would mean giving back some of my gains here, right? A lot of my gains here. But that's part of when you're trying to trail stops, when you're trying to capture a bigger move from a swing trading perspective. The double-edged sword is that if you're going to catch big wins every once in a while, you're also going to have some trades that go against you. So could that be this one? Maybe. I don't necessarily think so. I think you have a nice technical backdrop. But here's the thing about markets, guys. Things can change. You could get something that happens that causes people to panic sell again, and maybe this time we get a longer down move for a couple months. Anytime that can happen. We never say never, and we never assume we know what's going to happen in markets, because that is how you lose a bunch of money. I think we have good evidence to suggest the trend can continue. That doesn't necessarily mean it certainly will. That language is really, really important. That's why I say that so distinctly on my channel. We never know with certainty what charts are going to do. Thinking you do is how you lose a lot of money, right? Educated guess. That's all you've got. Every single one of us, we have educated guesses. If you think you know what the dollar is going to do, if you think you know what gold is going to do, you're wrong. You might be right this time. You might be right the next time, but you're wrong if you think you always know what the market's going to do. Okay, so with that said, NASDAQ, I'm constructively bullish as long as we can stay above this area here. And I'm specifically looking for a break through the highs. If we can get this move, right? If we can get this kind of move on the NASDAQ, then I will look to trail stops pretty aggressively from there. And I think it can happen. I think that my personal opinion is I think we are more likely to see a fresh new all-time high than to fall apart and break down. I think there's a good chance that pullback is what we're going to get. Like in bull markets, that is very much a healthy, constructive pullback. To get 6% down, 6.3% down in the NASDAQ, and to reverse course and go higher, that's very normal, natural, and frequent in healthy bull markets. Now, it doesn't feel frequent because we haven't had a lot of pullbacks like that recently, but that's a minor pullback still. Like, you have to understand, in bull markets, typically you do get pullbacks. Like, here's a bull period from 2023. Here was a 2%, 2.5%. Here was a 5% pullback. Then you had another 3%. Then you had a 4%. Then you had an 8%, right? Then you had a 4%, 3%. Then you had a big one, July and August, 16, 17%, still in the context of a bull market. Look at what we did. We came right down, tested the 200-day moving average, bulls came back in. The problem with assuming that you know that the market's going to dump or crash or whatever is that oftentimes you get these short-term sell-offs that convince everyone, oh, we're crashing now. And those dips are oftentimes the best buys in a bull market, is when people lose faith in the bull market, but the bull market has not necessarily died. Those dips are oftentimes excellent buying opportunities. Now, of course, nothing works foolproof every single time, but when we get those kinds of dips in a macro environment that I would suggest still looks healthy, those are dips I buy until proven otherwise. NASDAQ on the Edge Finder has been strong for months. S&P 500 just got a neutral reading today, which I thought was kind of interesting. But let's go look at NASDAQ here. So NASDAQ still getting a strong reading overall. So, and you know what? You know what's been interesting about this? I was looking at this morning because someone tagged me on Twitter and said, hey, Edge Finder's looking strong on NASDAQ. And I was like, I was just curious. So I pulled up the historical report on NASDAQ going back a couple months. Look at this. Not one bearish reading. And that's the way it should be. There's been no reason to be bearish on a market that is trending up. And Edge Finder has been spot on. NASDAQ was bullish in July, bullish in August, little neutral in late August into September. But then we got a bullish reading mid-September. And then we've got a solid, consistent bullish reading September, October, November. And so I've been really, quite pleased with the Edge Finder's bias on indices. It's been very correct. It's also been very correct on gold this year. It's been very bullish on gold. So I was looking at this for gold too, right? If we go back and take a look at, let's just go even further back. We'll just go back like February of this year. And you can see we've gotten one bearish reading on gold. One bearish reading on gold pretty much all year. I should say one cluster of bearish readings on Edge Finder. What you're looking at, by the way, this is a top setups score history on the Edge Finder. If you have Edge Finder, just go to top setups history. It's a pretty useful tool if you want to do some back testing, if you want to just kind of see, generally speaking, how Edge Finder has been directionally biased during the year. Gold has been one of the strongest readings this year on Edge Finder. Bullishness through February, March, and April. Then we went kind of neutral in May. June and July started to get bullish again on gold. Went back into neutral territory mid-July. Then we got a ridiculous cluster of bullishness in August and going into September. Stayed mostly bullish through up into October briefly, and then kind of got neutral mid-October. And so Edge Finder's been pretty spot on with gold and NASDAQ this year. So Nick, when's the last time you shorted gold? I shorted gold like a week and a half ago and took a really small profit because it reversed course on me. Aren't these kinds of indicators lagging? You tell me. Bullish readings in February, March, April, and here's gold price, right? If we're looking over here, we had bullish readings reported. What you're looking at here, this is a daily capture of the Edge Finder score day by day for the last like 8 months or whatever. Bullish readings clustered here, right? So generally speaking, the bias of Edge Finder can be spotted through the top. The Edge Finder is not really a timing tool. We talked long about this yesterday. The Edge Finder is not telling you like, oh, if you get a bullish reading, you just go out and buy. It's just telling you, generally speaking, the Edge Finder's collection of data points were bullish over here. They were bullish in this time frame. They were bullish here. And you can see how those readings generally compared to the market. So you can see how, you know, lagging or not, I guess it is, but Edge Finder's been spot on for gold and NASDAQ this year. It's been, you know, an excellent trading year for me personally, just riding those trends and readings from Edge Finder in combination with my trading style. It's been a good year. It's not always right. Nothing is. But at the end of the day, I have a system that we've built. I trust the system. I approach, you know, every single day the same way. I look at Edge Finder readings. I line it up with my charts. I lined up with my risk management, and I find trades. That's what we do on the show every single day. So let's look at some trade ideas. Silver, I'm already long NAS. I want to look at Chinese stocks, see if there's something I can add there. Let's take a look at silver though, because if I'm looking at silver, silver is running away from me though. I like the bullish setup, but you can see I keep moving my fibs because I've not been able to get any sort of pullback here. If we do get a pullback, I'd probably be a buyer around the 50% retracement level as long as Edge Finder still has a bullish reading. So I'm looking for that pullback if we get it. And if we do not, then nothing to do there. But silver looks really good. I think that we could very well have bottomed on silver. You've got this nice higher time frame now, inverted head and shoulders. This resistance points that we were a little skeptical of completely broke out. Bulls showed their strength here. And again, I'm a buyer on weakness if we can get it on silver. So that would be how I would approach, you know, Edge Finders. I just go through each chart and I see if there's a setup. I like the bias, but again, let me just be clear. Just because silver's a bullish reading doesn't mean I go out and just buy silver today, right? It does if there's a setup for me that I like and agree with, but it doesn't have a reading for me that I'm like, or it doesn't have like a silver's bullish, okay, just like punch the buy button. That's not how that works. That's not how Edge Finder's been designed. It's simply a filter. It says, okay, most of our readings suggest bullishness. All right, now I'm going to go look for a setup on it. So silver, if you're long, congrats. That's awesome. Let's look at Chinese stocks just really quick. I just want to see if there's anything there. Are those pulling back at all? I kind of feel like I should have been in this trade. I talked about it quite a bit. This level here, shoulda, coulda, woulda, doesn't really do you any good. But I do like the setup, and congrats to anybody who got in on that move. That's a really nice move. I like to trade the ETF FXI quite a bit. I've traded FXI for a long time, so I'll keep an eye on that. U.S. stock market opens up in about 10 minutes. We'll see where that goes. Like I said, I'm already long NASDAQ, just looking to trail a stop. Platinum's not something I really trade, but I'll just pull it up just because Platinum ended up holding this 618% retracement and arguably the 50% retracement, but has been consolidating here sideways. Yeah, I mean, there is some nice overall momentum this year in precious metals as a whole, platinum included. Seems like we're holding the 618% retracement level really well. You have some resistance looking left here. So I would give that kind of a minor resistance point. So maybe if you get this break, there could be some follow through there. So I kind of like that setup on platinum, though I don't, like I said, I don't really trade platinum. Let's go back to our setup list here. Nikkei is another one. Is Nikkei giving us a pullback? Not quite. There's that October 10th sell-off. So I'd be looking at the Nikkei on a pullback to like the 618% retracement. That would be an interesting area. I think if you're already in it, you already might have seen buyers come in here. Nice little respect off that area. So I probably, I think there's a good chance Nikkei just continues from here to the upside. Like that looks like it's probably headed to highs. If it does not head to highs, like if we break lower, I'd be interested probably at that 61.8% retracement. I bet you that's let's call it a 50-day moving average. Yeah, like a 50-day moving average retest, 61.8% retracement, prior support. Yeah, that's a trade I really like. I like that pullback on the Nikkei. If we get it, if we don't, we move on. Nas short, I can't get in with that. I can't get in on that one with you. I feel like NASDAQ is, or I don't even, the trend is straight up bullish, right? According to, if we're using a simple definition of moving average alignment, 20, 50, 100, 200, all aligned. We can see that in our market scanner here. If I go NASDAQ, you can see moving averages look really strong. Seasonally, it's also a very good time to, historically speaking, if history continues to play out the way it usually does, S&P 500 and NASDAQ should have some more upside going into year's end. And by the way, let me make this clear. I'm not saying like seasonally it goes up this part of the year and then it tanks into New Year's. No, it's actually quite the opposite. Typically, from a seasonality perspective, what we see on Edgefinder here is that the 10-year average for SPX is to rally into year's end, consolidate right up to New Year's, and then what happens? New Year's, we rally. Then you get softness, historically speaking, March, February, that time frame. So if we're just studying seasonals, if you want to talk about cyclical nature of the S&P 500, right? What I've been telling you, I've been wanting to add more cyclicality to Edgefinder. That is coming, by the way. Let me tell you why cyclicality is such a strong thing. Seasonality, cycles. Here's the thing about technical analysis. I was listening to Larry Williams yesterday. You guys know Larry Williams? The guy that, ICT claims to have created his concepts, even though Larry Williams created them 20 years prior or whatever. Here's the thing. Larry Williams made a point yesterday. He said technical analysis is great for telling you the type of environment you are in, but not very good for predicting what's going to happen next. Cycles, cyclical studies are an excellent indication of what price patterns may do next. And I thought that was perfect, like perfectly said. I never really thought about it that way. But if you're using like an RSI, support and resistance, oversold indicators, overbought, trend, this is hard to swallow, but technical analysis is not very predictive. It's more indicative. Technicals tell us like what has happened. What is the market condition currently? Cycles and studying through back testing, through patterns, through cycles, seasonality, data, projections, what comes next, that's more a study of cycles. So not to dog too much on ICT. I really don't, I don't know much about his stuff, to be completely fair, but Larry Williams is the GOAT. Come on. Like, he created those concepts. Let's give him his credit. The dude, did you guys see he got like interviewed, and the interview guy, Wakar or whatever his name is, I don't know his content very well either, but he asked him he asked Larry Williams in the interview, do you know who ICT is? And Larry Williams didn't know who he was, but ICT always claims that he knows him personally. So it's weird. It's really strange. Anyways, doesn't matter. If you like ICT concepts, do your thing. We're not here to bash that necessarily. There are probably people who do just fine with those concepts, but I think it's pretty well known in the trading space that the actual guy, ICT, has come under some scrutiny in terms of his actual trading performance. He's never proven anything, and I wish he would, man. It would be so cool if I could make a video and be like, hey, ICT finally dropped a 5-year track record, but he's never done it. And so I just want to encourage you, if you use those concepts and you found them through your own studies, back testing, etc., to work well for you, do your thing. But abandon the concept that ICT is a profitable or successful trader. He's never shown anything. And I'm not trying to like talk bad and be a hater. I'm just telling you, for your sake, don't waste your time overhyping a person that's never shown anything, right? That's not good for yourself. Like, that's just blatant refusal of acknowledgement of facts. Anyways, Larry Williams, the true GOAT, talked about cycles. He's brilliant with it. He talked about seasonality. He talks about seasonality all the time. I've learned a lot about seasonality from Larry Williams, cycles, price patterns, tendencies of certain charts. He's pretty bearish on gold right now, which I thought was kind of interesting. Anyways, full year seasonality, we should rally into year's end. If we're just following price patterns, this is more of a predictive thing. Into New Year's, we expect strength again. The new year comes, there's fresh buying, I guess. Whatever the reason is, we typically see strength. And then February and March, we see downside in the markets on average. How can an unprofitable trader create profitable students? To be fair, I think that people who do have success with anything in trading do so off their own blood, sweat, and tears. Like if you become profitable in trading, I think you can become profitable with like any system. Enough time on the charts, studying, refining, improving it, fitting it to you, you can become profitable. It doesn't matter if it's ICT, triple witching, reverse, curtain unwind nonsense pattern. You could still find a way to make it profitable with enough time, effort, approach. So I think the concepts themselves are no better than anything else. I think they're no worse than anything else. If the framework of ICT stuff helps you to better frame the market in a way that makes it good for you, do your thing. But I've never seen any credibility that the guy behind the curtain is truly a successful trader, which again, I think you need evidence in trading world. You cannot just proceed with no evidence. But if there are people who have done well because they like the way he frames things and they've gone off and actually made it profitable themselves, that's awesome. So anyways, seasonality is something, cycles are something that we can actually bite into. We can sink our teeth into cycles because they are cycles for a reason. They cycle over and over. So there's repeatability, there's profitability to be extracted from cycles if you know what you're doing with them. So seasonality has been a guide for why we are still long risk assets right now. It's working so far. I don't want to jinx it, but so far, other than Bitcoin has broken the trend. We'll talk about that in a second. So far, risk assets, stocks specifically, are doing quite well in line with expectations here based on seasonality. By the way, seasonality is factored into the Edgefinder's algorithm. Seasonality is one of our columns. So if there's a strong seasonal pattern present currently on the chart that you were looking at in Edgefinder, Edgefinder adds that into its score. So NASDAQ is getting +2 because we see statistically during this period of the year, we typically see strength for S&P, NASDAQ, etc. You see what I'm saying? The Edgefinder is automatically screening for cycles. It's screening for GDP statistics, CPI. It's looking through the data to help build a stronger read overall on charts that we're looking for. As traders, we don't have certainties. We have educated guesswork. And educated guesswork involves pulling in data and seeing what we can extract from that data. What confluences can we align? That is why we are still on this channel. I'm still bullish on NASDAQ, still bullish on S&P 500. We're building evidence. That's what we do on these videos and live streams. The Edgefinder is building evidence for or against a chart. That's all we do over and over, right? We never know with certainty, but we're building a case. We're building evidence why NASDAQ should stay bullish for now. Like that might change. You might get something that comes along and knocks the NASDAQ down, and that's almost certain to happen eventually. Timing is tricky, right? The trend is still to the upside, but at some point you will get a correction that's bigger in the NASDAQ. Will it be next week? Will it be New Year's? We'll see. But for now, trend is up, so I'm going to just keep riding that. So by the way, Edgefinder, I should mention this really quick. Edgefinder is currently on super sale. We just kicked off our Black Friday discount. It is 45% off for stream viewers who are here with me live. If you watch regularly, if you want a copy of the Edgefinder for your own trading, for your own analysis, here's your chance to get it. It is currently 45% off. All you need to do if you want access to it is scan the QR code below my camera if you want to get a copy of our software, or simply click the link that's just been dropped in the live stream chat to speak directly to a member of our support staff. We have people online right now who can help get you set up with a copy. If we've also had some people asking about payment plans, if we do that, we do offer payment plans. So if you need to split up the Edgefinder's cost into 2 payments, all the details can be found out. Just send us a direct message. They can get you the price. They can get you the payment plan options if you need that, whatever you need. But if you have thought about getting a copy of Edgefinder for a while, do not miss your chance. It's the biggest discount that we do all year long. Store wide, everything is 45% off. If you want our indicators, all the different tools that we've built, you know, Stockbox, Edge Finder, VIP group, whatever you need, Pulver alerts, everything is 45% off. Just message us right here and be able to speak to a real person on our team and lock in that discount before it ends. Like I said, it is the biggest one that we do all year. Is it optimized for mobile? We do have a mobile version, yes. So let's take a look at precious metals really quick. So precious metals, let's talk about them. Gold ended up, it's really crazy to me. We only tested the 20-day moving average, have kind of gone sideways. I'll reiterate, I still think that 50-day moving average is coming, and we are probably going to retest it. I don't know when. It's inevitable. Eventually, it will retest it again. So I'm not really saying much there. I'm not saying it's going to shoot down there today. But I think we're going to likely see, this is my personal opinion, a modest rise in gold prices. I think it's less likely that we get another one of these types of moves. I don't think we're going to get that. If I'm wrong, hey, that'd be awesome for the gold bulls. I mean, I am also leaning bullish on gold as well and silver, but waiting for pullbacks. So I'm kind of like just going to watch this thing, see what it does. If gold prices pull back, I actually would really like to pick up the 39.20 level this time. Why? Well, because at that point we would have had truly the pit, the pullback in time. If we get those moving averages to catch up, and why does that matter so much to me? Why do I care so much that we get the moving averages to come up? Is there something magical about it? No, I just think you've had a straight shot to the upside in gold, and we are in much need of a healthy correction. But you can correct in two ways. You can correct in price, or you can correct in time. And I think we're kind of seeing both. We saw the price of gold come down, and we're now dragging on here where we haven't really gone very far in gold prices for what, a month, right? So if we're talking about, yeah, I mean, we have not really moved very much from where we were a month ago. So we're like right there. I mean, we're in the same general vicinity of where we were a month ago. I think that's healthy. Like, that's healthy because you don't want frenzy buying into oblivion, because what that typically leads to is euphoria buying typically leads to like devastating crashes. So we had a little bit of euphoria buying, and I love to see that we are consolidating or just going sideways for a while. So we'll see. Nick, in my research, I came across information stating that Webull allows a maximum leverage ratio of 2-to-1 for index trades. Is that correct? Bulent, I'm not really sure because I trade ETFs. If you're talking about their futures options or futures, not options, but futures trading, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really looked too far into their futures trading because I personally trade ETFs, stocks, and options on Webull. And I really don't tap into leverage very much. Not to say that I think it's, well, actually, I do think it is bad. I think leverage is bad, personally. I think it is dangerous for most people, including myself. Not because I can't handle the leverage, but it goes against my very principle of what I believe in trading. I believe in trading, it's all educated guesswork, and even the best traders in the world and the most intelligent traders or investors in the world can be very wrong for stretches of time. Apply leverage to being very long for stretches of time, and even the greatest trader could blow up. Leverage goes against what I'm advocating for on my YouTube channel, what I'm a fan of, what I stand for. I think there are times to use very modest leverage that are perfectly fine for maybe some traders that have higher risk tolerance, but you have to accept when you are taking on leverage into your account, you are saying, I know with very strong probability what the market's going to do. And I believe we often make the mistake of believing we know more likely what the market will actually do than not. Yeah, Belen. So I have I have a margin account, but the Q's trade is not on margin. So that is a cash position. So it is not. So yes, I have that amount invested in Q's. And you mentioned this, Blunt. I appreciate you saying this. I need to change this. I added an extra 20 shares to my thing, and I didn't adjust my stop to fit that. So that should be corrected now. So yes, this is not a margin position. This is all cash. Now, if you were to buy 870 shares of Qs on a account that is not, the size of what I'm trading with, then yes, it would be on margin, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm using no margin. No problem, Blunt. Thank you for that. I appreciate you pointing that out. My 20 shares that I didn't have in my stop loss. Thanks again. Let's see. Where were we? Edgefinder's not a signal itself. It should find place within your system. Joshua, you got it, my friend. That is dead on. The Edgefinder is not a sole signal for it's a filter. Helps me find better trades. It doesn't tell me the trades to take. I mean, I couldn't have said it better, Joshua. That was perfect. It helps me find trades. It doesn't tell me what trades to take. It's a great way of thinking of it. Do you know why? I mean, I say this often on my channel. Why is that? Oh, sorry. I'm totally running over time for Marco. Let me pass over the show to Marco, and I'll finish with this thought. The reason it's not necessarily a, hey, buy now, sell now. So this is not time frame specific. We talked about this long on yesterday's stream. The Edgefinder is not time specific. Like, it's not a 4-hour signal or a 1-day signal or a 1-week signal. It's just a directional bias. So you filter that into however you like to trade. We have reversal traders, trend traders, people who trade the 4-hour, the 1 hour, the 1 minute, the 10 week. I don't know. There's all sorts of different traders who use Edgefinder. It's not built for a specific time frame. It's just a directional bias tool to help filter your trades a little bit better. That is what Edgefinder does. If you don't have a copy, last call before I head out of here, it is 45% off right now. Edgefinder is on super sale for our Black Friday discount. Click this link here if you do not already have a copy to lock in that super low price while it is available. We also offer, if the price is outside of your reach right now, we do also offer payment plans. If you need to split it up into a couple months' time to pay it off, so it's not such a burden at once, we do offer that. Just message in, let us know your situation, and we will, someone from the team will get you hooked up with something that works for you. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in for a second and let you know a little bit about today's live stream sponsor, DNA Funded. DNA Funded has very generous profit sharing, up to 90%, and 3 different unique challenge types. For those looking to get funded, they also have speedy payouts, unlimited trading days on the first and second phase of their challenges, a very wide list of different things you can trade with over 800 different assets tradable, and maybe the most important component, a very experienced team behind the whole operation. So if you're interested in learning more about DNA Funded, click the link, check it out, see if it's right for you, and make sure to do your own due diligence to see if what they have to offer fits your trading style. For 20% off, you can use code A1T20. Again, that will be 20% off any of their challenges you'd like to check out. Thank you again to DNA Funded for sponsoring today's live stream. Now back to the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to my segment of the stream. So I'm sorry about the background, but the power has ran out in my flat, so I had to go back to my parents' house, and this is my brother's old room, so that's why it's super childish in the background. So I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you are prepared for this upcoming week. I know in the Discord, so in the A1 Discord, there was some talk about the US government shutdown coming to an end. That is unfortunately not true. So unfortunately, that has still not happened. If you ask ChatGPT or Grok or do some research, they have sort of agreed on a budget, but now the House needs to approve it, and it's not the whole thing. So it's just one step to, let's say, having a deal. So unfortunately, we are still in no news territory. We still have the US government data may be impacted by the shutdown. Tentative events are subject to delay, revision, or cancellation. So that is still active. As far as the fundamental news, we got some GDP news, and now we're waiting for Thursday. So this is nothing pretty much. I don't pay attention to this. But what I do pay attention to is the employment change for the Aussie and the GDP for the pound. That's going to be definitely very, very important. As far as the dollar, goes, there's still a lot of tentative stuff. Probably not going to happen. So it's probably not going to get posted this week, unfortunately. So the data drought continues. Now, if we jump onto the markets, I took a position yesterday on silver. So I bought silver right on top of this daily candle. I thought about the break and retest, but the last couple of times that I tried the break and retest, I just lost out on massive percentage and the price went flying without me. So I thought it's a bit better to try to get in on the first sort of feeler position with a bit less risk. And then if I get taken out, I can always get in a bit lower with some more risk. So this is not the 1% position. It's a 0.5% risk per trade or on this position. So I can take another one if this one gets stopped out. So the stop loss, the entry is at 50.51. The stop loss is at 48.75. And the first target would be the all-time highs. So essentially 54.06. I think that could be the first take profit. It's positive reward to risk, which is always good. We are above the 20 EMA. The stop loss should be right below the 20 EMA once the price does go a bit higher. So once this candle and a couple of other candles catch up to the EMA, tight stop loss. So pretty tight stop loss, but I think this is a pretty high probability setup. If you go to the top setups, this is what I have been waiting for a couple of weeks now. So a bullish reading on silver. Okay, we actually lost the score. So it was like, I think 8 or 9. Now it's a 5. And one of the problems is the COTS. So the COTS are still pretty old. We are not getting recent COT data. That is a little bit problematic, but I still think this is a good play. And I'm respecting my trade plan. The trade plan was silver. I'm looking for buy setups. I'm looking for pullbacks. If there's a nice pullback, if the edge finder is bullish, I'll get in. So that was the plan. We must respect the plan. So now I'm in this position and it's running just a little bit of profit. It's running around break even, I would say. The second position I have is USD CAD, and it is not looking good right now. So USD CAD, unfortunately, looks pretty bad, I would say, with a lot of selling pressure. We had some news out of Canada last week, the unemployment rate, which came in really good. So the employment data came in really, really good for the CAD. That's why you get this move. Now, is that enough for me to change my whole view? No, it's just a single data point. So I'm not concerned about my position. It's just a single data point. I can show you the long-term data, which is my main focus. So just compare the US GDP to Canada. See, very bad negative. Unemployment, dollar 4.3% for the CAD. It is at 6.9%. Okay, so the CAD is at 6.9% and rising. So mind you, we're still in an uptrend. It is just one data point. One data point does not change the overall trend of bad employment. So I think we're still on the upside. If you look at the inflation, the US has higher inflation than Canada, but since Canada is struggling with growth, it's going to be pretty tough for the Bank of Canada to cut rates to help employment because their inflation is already running hot. It's running above 2%. It's 2.4%. And the main target is always 2%. If you cut rates, you're going to hurt inflation. Inflation is going to go up. Do they really want to see inflation go up? I don't know. Would you like to live in Canada with these numbers, with negative GDP, really high unemployment, falling housing prices? I don't think so. I think it's a really bad place for Canadians and for outside investors looking to put their money into Canada. So I think relative to other economies, Canada is the worst and the best one to sell. That pretty much explains my USD CAD position. I'm bullish on the dollar. The shutdown is going to end. If you look at some betting sites online like Polymarket and the one that starts with a K, you're going to notice that the shutdown is pretty likely to end by the 14th. I believe. So by the 14th of November, it should end. So now let me check the comments. Quite a lot of comments. Let's see what you guys are saying. I'm also looking down like this because I have two screens. So I have my charts up and my comments down. Okay, let's see. Okay, quite a lot of comments. This is for Nick. Hey Bashy, hey Sluggy, hey Max. This background looks better. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. If the fundamentals are volatile even within 24 hours, how can scoring be helpful to show us the trend? Well, I don't really rely on the trend scoring. So I don't really rely on trend scoring. What is this? But I just take the overall score. With a trade plan, you have to be mechanical. The more mechanical you can be, the better your results will be, because you'll be able to replicate your results over and over and over again. If you come in the markets and say, well, usually if the edge finder is bullish, I take a trade, but now I'm not sure the trend is positive, but the markets are volatile, so I'm not sure about the overall score. Well, that's going to create inconsistencies, and that will make your back-tested results and your live-tested results different from your actual results that you are getting right now. So I try to keep it as simple as possible, and I don't really want to question the scoring on the edge finder, because you can do that for every single score. So you can come in and say, the COTS, they are outdated. Okay, maybe this is a scenario where we should pay attention to that. But seasonality, you can say, seasonality is bullish for silver, but this has been a special year with Trump, so I may not take seasonality into account. And then for the CPI, yes, CPI is bullish for silver, but this year is special because of the Fed. It's really uncertain with the Fed. Like Powell is hawkish, then he's dovish, so I'm gonna just scratch this one off as well. That can get you in a lot of trouble. New name. Okay. What do you think about GPUSD? We're gonna cover that for sure. Aussie NZD, okay. Light out the Balkan thing. Hey Roberto, what's up? Yes, so for now still reacting strongly, but I lean bearish. GP CAD waiting to see if we can push first. Taco Marco DXY to 95. Well, I don't know. So DXY to 95, I do expect possibly a bit of a pullback, but I think this is it. I think this is now enough of a pullback. I think we could continue going to the upside, especially if the shutdown ends. If the shutdown ends, it should add in some confidence. It should create some confidence, and it should push the dollar a bit higher. And it should be good for gold and silver as well. It should be good for the metals market, because shutdown ends, we go back to the old regime, more printing, more money, more spending, more debt. What does that do? Inflation goes up, dollar goes up, metals go up. Okay? It's a very inflationary thing. It just, when the markets when the government reopens, they just spend like crazy. Of course, markets know it, so that's why you can see gold and silver pushing higher on this rumor, or on this first step of the government reopening. Do you trade ETFs or CFDs for gold? I trade CFDs, unfortunately. I think ETFs are definitely better, but to keep things simple, to keep my track record all in one on IC markets, I trade CFDs. But of course, you're going to pay less holding fees for ETFs. News would still follow schedule even when shutdown ends, right? Wouldn't flood us with all the stats all at once? No, so they won't release everything all at once. It will be like maybe 1 or 2 week delay to get the NFP. Okay, so to get the NFP, it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks. And then you're going to start getting the numbers coming out as scheduled. Okay, so it's not going to be like one huge package of data, one huge package of numbers. Which indicator do you use? It is just, I can show you here on my screen. So GT recent high low. No, sorry, it's not it. EMA 20 close, GT indicator. Okay, so these are the only indicators I have. Do I need them? No. Just they're a visual aid to simplify my technical analysis a bit. Goodbye, Bashi. Thank you for joining. Euro dollar, okay. Trading at the simple setup page and overall setup pages, say missing data source. You think USD CAD is still good for long at this area? Well, not financial advice, but I'm still holding my position, so I still think this is a good area. USD CAD is still my favorite position for 2025. I still think Canada is super weak. I still think the dollar is pretty strong, especially relative to other currencies. I still think the US is getting good economic data. Let me check out the Edge Finder. What do we have here? Neutral reading right now, but again, I would say USD CAD is still high probability in my opinion. So now let me mention the sponsor of today's video, since we are kind of at the half of my segment. The sponsor is DNA Funded. So if you're looking to get capital, if you're looking to expand your trading capital, because that is the main issue for retail traders. They have three main issues. First, unrealistic expectations. Second, they don't have a trading edge, and no, trading ICT order blocks is not a trading edge. And third problem, they don't have enough capital. Well, a prop firm can definitely help you. If you use our discount code, which is A1 Live, you're going to get 25% off any DNA funded challenge. So A1 Live, 25% off. This is my personal challenge. Right now, the equity is 52.354. So it's in profit, but kind of stagnating for the last couple of weeks. So, and by the way, this is my ChatGPT challenge. I basically take a trade signal every day from ChatGPT and I put it into this challenge. So these are the results, currently in profit, keeping it running, and we will see what will happen. And getting back to it. Euro dollar, yes, sure, euro dollar. Are you bullish gold, silver for 2026? Yes, I am, because there's going to be a bunch of spending. There's going to be Trump's big beautiful bill incoming in 2026, and that is going to be even more spending. The debt is just going to increase. And also lately, Trump came out with a statement that he's going to give a stimulus check of, I think, $2,000 to every American citizen, which, you know what that means. It means a bunch of printing. It means devaluing the dollar, and it means gold and silver go up. Okay, so if you give everyone $2,000, essentially their purchasing power is going to erode. So you're going to do nothing long term, in my opinion. It's just a psychological trick, because those dollars are worth much less if you just print a bunch of money and give it to people. What do you think about this AI bubble? I think it's definitely a bubble, absolutely a bubble. But I think you should buy until the music stops playing. So you have to be crazy to be a seller in this market. You just have to be crazy to be like a heavy seller. I'm looking for dips. I'm looking for pullbacks. I'm looking to, of course, get in on buy setups. So far, I haven't gotten in, but if we go down a bit more to, let's say, 2400, I think that's going to be a great area to build an initial position. And I have some long-term investments in the US stock market, but right now I'm only talking about short-term setups. So I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer all day. I'm definitely not looking to sell this. I just want to get a discount. I want to get a cheaper price. And I'm going to keep buying until the bubble bursts. Okay? So it's definitely a bubble. There's definitely too much spending going on. Recently, on an interview, Sam Altman, who's running OpenAI, was asked, so much is being put into CapEx spending on AI. How do you know it will pay off? His response was, if you're not a believer, you can go pound sand. Well, that's a really bad response from someone who is running the show. That means that he doesn't have a good enough answer, and that he knows there's too much spending. It's not going to pay off. Okay. Hey, Marco, would you be able to show us your daily Edge Finder workflow process? Thank you in advance. Yeah, sure. I think that's a really good question. So what I do daily is I build a forecast. You get the forecast in the A1 Discord, which, by the way, you can join right now for 45% off using my code right there. So you can join the A1 Discord, get trade breakdowns, trade signals, events breakdowns, chat with other successful traders, 45% off. Anyway, I do a daily forecast, and when writing the forecast, I look at these things. So first, I jump onto the Forex Factory. I see how is the news coming out. Then I jump onto Financial Juice. Oh, sorry. The first step is, of course, TradingView. I run through my watch list. Then Forex Factory, how is the news coming out? Then Financial Juice, what is the market moving news? What is the general news? I look for the news in red. How does it impact my positions? How does it impact the markets? How can I build a position using these news events? And then the Edge Finder. Okay, so if you want me to, I can do it like this. TradingView, Forex Factory, Financial Juice, Edge Finder, top setups. So I usually do this, and I remove neutral, and then I see what is interesting. What is interesting right now? Silver. Because of all of the prior data points, silver is the one I want to buy. NASDAQ, maybe. I think NASDAQ is actually a good buy as well if you want to try and take a stab at it. I'm not trying it right now because I think there's a bit more downside, but again, it's not such a bad play. So I usually focus on the things I see here, right? That's my main focus. Then if I want to do some more analysis, I look at long-term data. I look at the GDP. I look at the unemployment. I look at the CPI. Those are my 3 favorite data points when assessing the strength or weakness of a particular economy. UJ, what's your win rate and average risk reward? I think my win rate is around 45% and my average reward to risk is around 1.8. Those are the results I got from back testing and live testing so far. How's JPY looking? I don't know. I don't have a clear picture on JPY, if I'm being honest. Marco and guys on DNA would become really good on desktop. I discussed with TradeLocker. They found some issue with PTTSRER server used by DNA. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, but I'm in contact with Max, so we're trying to test out TradeLocker and DNA. So we're trying to see how we can make the whole process faster and why is it slow for some people. What about the UJ? Let me see. So is the JPY. USD JPY. Let me see something on my MetaTrader. Just a second. MetaTrader. Okay. Okay. So UJ. I'm not sure about UJ. I mean, I'm bullish on the dollar, but on the yen, I'm not 100% sure. So maybe there's still a bit more upside. What I'm wondering is there's an intervention level 156, 157, 158. Those are the levels where the Bank of Japan could start coming in and saying we don't like the current UJ exchange rate. It doesn't look the best. We may do an intervention. So it's not just about them doing an actual intervention. It's about them saying that they are thinking about an intervention. That could move the markets as well. And when they actually do an intervention, this happens. Okay? So fundamentally, I'm actually a bit bullish on UJ, but I'm worried about that intervention rumors, intervention levels, and actual intervention from the Bank of Japan. Okay? So right now I don't want to touch it. Right now, I'm being more patient on UJ. I think there's better plays out there. If I change my mind, of course, you will know. What's your take on GBP CAD? Okay, if we have time, we're going to do it. Marco, I'm one of the crazy that hold the sell, but I'm well positioned, protected at break even on the NASDAQ. Okay, so you're selling the NASDAQ. Well, good luck with that. I know you sell gold. I know you sell NASDAQ. But I also know you got some nice payouts from prop firms. So I guess what you're doing is working. You have the reward to risk. You know your stats, you know your strategy. So if it works, just do it. Okay. Let's see. Marco's real edge is me giving insider information and I get cheeseburgers in return. Yeah, so it's Ballout and Joshua are sending me signals in Discord, and then I just transfer those signals to everyone else and I execute the trades. So now you know my secret. Thank you, Marco. Much appreciated. No worries. GC play was solid. What was your GC play, Ballout? If you can put it in the chat, I'm interested to know. The edge finder is not for reversals then. Well, you can use it for all sorts of stuff. I would say an edge finder, the edge finder, is a great extra confluence to have for your trading. So I'm not just blindly buying silver. I haven't just blindly bought silver because it says bullish right here. I'm doing it because technical analysis is bullish. We are above the 20 MA. We are overall in a huge uptrend. The US government will reopen pretty soon, which means the spending, the printing, the debt will all skyrocket pretty soon. And because of that, metals go up because inflation goes up. And just the general fundamentals, markets, sentiment, it seems to be more bullish silver than bearish. So I'm assembling a story, I'm assembling a picture, I'm looking at multiple different confluences to tell me that I should actually buy. I'm not just looking at the edge finder and buying because it says bullish. That is my approach. I'm assembling a story. I'm looking at many, many, many different factors. Edge finder is one factor, a very important one, a crucial one, I would say, but it is not the whole picture. Okay? It definitely does save you a bunch of time, saves you a bunch of effort to collect all of this information, and it collects everything, puts it in one place. Okay? But I usually like to stack up some more confluences just to increase my trading edge. I get my signals from Daddy Powell. Me too. Powell being hawkish is always nice. So Powell being hawkish, where's my DXY? Powell being hawkish on the 17th of September. Then once again on the 29th of October. Very, very nice. It definitely paid off for my positions. So Powell is the GOAT. Even though there was a rate cut, it still went up. It's all about the forward guidance, right? Forward guidance is all that matters. Okay, so euro dollar was a big request. Sorry about that. Euro dollar. Euro dollar looks a bit flat right there. I would say top setups. Let's see that. Okay, we have to put in neutral. Neutral right now, very low score. I personally don't have a massive trading edge on euro dollar. I think I'm more bearish than bullish. If I had to make a decision, I would sell. The reason is you have to think about the narrative. So what has been the narrative in the beginning of 25? Well, it has been euro is the next big currency. All of the money is going to flow into the euro from the dollar. The DAX is going to skyrocket. It's going to be the best performer in 25. None of that happened. The DAX is still super crap. It looks super flat. It did absolutely nothing. It just ate my 2 trades and I took a loss, so I'm a bit salty. But the euro also did absolutely nothing. I mean, there was a clear appreciation, but from the 13th of June to now, there has been absolutely nothing. So I think the euro is at the top. I think it's starting to lose value. I think that is being reflected in the chart here. I think the dollar is a better buy, but I don't think I have a massive trading edge on this currency. The currencies that I like are, of course, USD CAD, and actually maybe Aussie dollar and Aussie NZD. NZD. So I took an experimental position short here, but I think the Aussie should lose some strength in the upcoming few days or weeks. If you look at XME, metals and mining, it's in a massive downtrend. from the 16th of October, it has just been down, down, down. Australia, 30% of GDP is metals and mining, exports. So if the price of the industry goes down, the demand for those exports goes down, the demand for the Aussie dollar goes down, the price of the Aussie dollar goes down as well, or should go down. That's the theory. That's the fundamental play. So let me quickly check. If we look at AUD USD, neutral. What about AUD NZD? CD. Neutral as well. So the reason I sold AUD NZD just with a very small risk, just an experimental position, the reason I sold it was there was a massive, massive resistance. So if TradingView can please load. Come on, TradingView, what the hell? Okay. So massive resistance level, there should be at least a bit of a bounce. So here the technicals definitely line up with the fundamentals, not the edge finder, but the fundamentals being metals and mining industry is going down, losing value. So if we can just have a short-term bearish downtrend, hit my take profit and then go up, that would be nice. But I didn't post this in the A1 Discord because I think it's a pretty risky setup and I'm not 100% sure in the trading edge behind this, and I don't have the edge finder confluence, so I didn't want to put it in the A1 Discord. Okay, so we did euro dollar. Let's see. Let me see the comments. GP CAD. Aha, GC is gold. Okay, I also thought you meant GP CAD. Okay. I'm heading straight to the gym after this session. Awesome. It's great for your physical health and mental health to reset. When a trade reaches a 1-to-1, do you set it to break even or keep the original stop loss? When a trade reaches a 1-to-1, I keep the original stop loss unless I have a reason to move my stop loss. So the only reason why I would move my stop loss if I'm using a trailing stop loss is if a new swing low was created. So with trailing stop losses on assets that go up over time, I'm talking about US stocks, gold, silver. On these things, I like to trail my stop loss on the swing lows like this. As we go up, I just move and move and move and move until the bend at the end of the trend. So I let the markets take me out. We'll play tennis. No, let's play pickleball. So if you want to play with Alan, he's a master pickleball player. Alan from A1. No tennis today. It's cold outside. That's why pickleball is good, because you can play it inside. Actually, I like not pickleball. I like squash. I think it's called squash. Pickleball. So, BTC USD going lower. Ethereum is going lower as well. So crypto I don't like. I think crypto is looking pretty bearish right here. We are in the bad part of the halving cycle. I talked about the halving cycle yesterday. So we are now in the bearish part of the halving cycle until the November of 2026. Then we are back in the bullish part of the cycle. So crypto just looks pretty bad. Okay, I think it looks pretty bearish. I think it's not good for buy setups. I would be interested in buy setups if we go back to all-time highs. So if we get another massive bull run, I'll be there. But if we're here, I'm more patient. Okay. So final request until and that is going to wrap up the stream. Let me see. Final request. You can put it in the chat. What else do you want to see? I know I missed some things, but let's do one more chart and then we're done. So I'm watching the chat. Put it in the chat. If you want to know when I'm live streaming, you can find it here. A1 stream schedule. Okay. So I'm on every day, pretty much. And if I missed your question or if I missed your request, find me tomorrow. Find me on Thursday, Friday, and I'm surely gonna go through it. GPCAD. Okay, yes, GPCAD. That is it. GPCAD. I'm GBP CAD. I'm bearish on the pound. I'm bearish on the CAD. We had some really bad numbers out of the UK, right? I think we had some pretty bad numbers. Where did I see that? Financial juice, market moving. I think it was there. Yeah, UK employment change. See, actual number -32. Forecast was -3. So massive, massive miss or beat. How can you call that miss? Because it's a bad number. So essentially, I don't know who is the worst. Is the UK worse than Canada? Is Canada worse than the UK? I'm not sure. What does the edge finder say? So I personally, very bearish actually. If I had to pick which one is worse, I would say actually the CAD. I think the CAD is a bit worse if you look at long-term numbers. Short-term looks like the pound is worse, but if you look at GDP, we can compare. So UK, yeah, it's bad. Canada, yeah, bad as well. Unemployment, CAD, horrible. GDP looks a bit better. Oh no, actually looks worse, or looks also really bad. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. CAD above the 2% target. Pound way above target, 3.8%. So in my opinion, I don't have a massive trading edge trading GBP CAD, especially at this level of support, because I'm really, really bearish on both currency pairs. I love the idea of selling the pound. I love the idea of selling the CAD. Okay, both ideas look high probability to me. So in Forex, I like to pair a weak currency with a strong currency. In my opinion, a better play would be selling USD CAD or selling GBP USD. Yeah, selling GBP USD should be fine. I think that's good. What does the edge finder say? Let's see, top setups. Where is it? Here. GBP USD. Let's see it. Actually neutral, but I think it's a good position. I think it's a good play. Okay, so let me see what you guys are thinking. GBP Aussie. We're going to do GBP Aussie tomorrow. Okay, so let's do GBP Aussie tomorrow. Good luck in the markets. The US government shutdown is still not over. It is still lasting. And check out silver. Not financial advice, but I think silver is an interesting position to look for longs. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
You've been watching A1 Trading Live. We're here Monday through Friday, where you can tune in to hear insights from professional traders from all over the world. All month long, our products are 40% off, the biggest discount of the entire year. You can get access to our trading softwares, trading community, and so much more right now on our website, a1trading.com. Make sure to subscribe for future streams, and don't forget, if you're looking to get access to free courses, prop firm discounts, and free trading tools, as well as massive discounts on all our products, head over to a1trading.com. See you next time.